Roosevelt, he had his first attack when I had mine too. Also, 52.
Did you like Roosevelt?
Yeah, I did. I liked it, and I wonder why none of his sons has ever run for. He's got one that's a governor. I don't know. It's Arkansas or it's one of the western states.
And you remember when the Hindenburg blew up? Did you ever see one of those big air blimps?
Oh, they got one in Miami that comes every Christmas.
Yeah.
I used to tell my kids Santa Claus was up there, and he was coming right all around our house. And he was the blimp was low.
Was it real big?
Huh?
Was it a big one?
Yeah, one of them big ones. And when the kids went in the house, Santa Claus had come off of that with his sack of toys for the kids. I'll tell you, Pat was a grown boy going to Blackwood School, and somebody said there wasn't no Santa Claus, and he was ready. He was wanting to fight them because he said the ones that said that's the ones that Santa Claus will come see him.
There is a Santa Claus.
Isn't that right, Tristan?
He,
All right.
So with the Hindenburg, you remember when that blew up in, what was it, Lakehurst, New Jersey?
Well, there was a German blimp. I
That's
forget.
right.
That was the
The
one.
Hindenburg.
Well, wasn't it over the ocean that it blew up?
It was in Lakehurst, New Jersey. It was fixing to tie down,
Oh,
and it blew up.
Oh.
That was in 1927, something like that.
You know, that would only put her at about 13, 14 years old. And TV hadn't.
Yeah.
Well, don't it look like they would make the center part for passengers instead of that basket? That's such a little space for as much as that thing costs.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, here we go back to the toilets again. I don't understand what did it. Oh, they want to know when there was outhouses, what did you wipe with? You know, like you've heard of people using Sears catalogs and things like that.
Well, really, I don't remember that, but I'm sure that either, I don't know,
Cloths or
no, we didn't have no cloth on it. It seemed to me like we had some kind of brown paper.
did you buy it or did y'all?
Yeah. See, Dad had a job with the streetcar, and it's sort of classified equal with railroad people. We had our own home in the city, out here on the Beltline. Our house is still there. But when his job, when they went on strike, at that time they had private cars, and my dad thought that he could make a living with this Jet Chalmers that he bought, hauling soldiers out to Fort Jackson. But they would jump out and run, and nobody would pay. So he said, "This is not going to work." So that's when he decided to go to Florida. They were putting a railroad, and they was building US 1. At one time, my whole family worked on that US 1. I had one brother on a road grader. My daddy was on the drag line. My little brother was a water boy. We was making money. Dad was buying a city lot in Miami. They put the rest of it in the bank. We was going to have us a big, nice, pretty home. And then the crash come. It took everything. Seemed like Daddy waited 3 years, and then he got 10 cents on the dollar.
That was a major setback. So up to that point, y'all could pretty much afford to buy toilet paper.
Yeah.
And before that, though, what age did you have your first menstruation cycle?
I must have been 14.
And what did you use to take care of that problem, as far as paper products or cloth or?
Well, Mama never did explain things like that to us. And it scared me to death. I didn't know what to do. And I had this cotton nightgown. And I don't know where I got the idea. Some older girl, I think, told me, cut that thing up and make you some pads. So I did that, and I didn't know what to do with the thing after I got my pads cut. It seemed to me like that I rolled it up, put it in my pocket, and seemed to be like I threw it down in the woods down behind our house or something. At that time, when I was 14. And then at 14, can I go on?
Yeah, keep
while
going.
I'm still 14.
Yeah.
My dad got me a job in the Olympia cotton mill. And then I bought pads. And they had a waste basket in the plant. This is what you call it, where I worked. But I didn't work there not even a year before Dad got the idea we wanted to go back to Florida. But is that all you need on the period?
Yeah, they just want to know back then, what did people use?
Well, I used that. I used up all that nightgown.
All right. This is one of the things that Patty brought up. She was talking about like common appliances that we have in our house today, like the microwave, a can opener, refrigerator, an ironing board. All these appliances that we've been brought up, just, we don't think nothing, about going in the house, flipping a switch, and going sticking a plate of food in the microwave. Well, when you were coming up, how did that differ now as opposed to then? Like a wood stove versus you have a gas stove in cooking and things like that. How did y'all handle those kinds of things?
My mom liked a wood stove. She had a wood stove. It was a pretty one. It was a wood range. I remember she was paying $2 a week to pay for it. But when I moved up here from Miami, it heated the house up too much. I wanted a gas stove. So she come home one day and we took that wood stove out, set it out in the shed, had that gas stove all hooked up. I bought it on time, on credit. And she thought it was pretty, but it brought tears to her eyes because she said, I love my wood stove. And we was living in Blythewood at that time.
So was that when you got your first stove too, in the house? Or had you cooked on wood stove up to then?
No.
Well, like when you were a little girl, they cooked on a wood stove?
Yeah.
We go get the wood.
Well, most of the time we was in the country at Blythewood. Let's see, we moved to Blythewood. Paul was born in Blythewood. He was born, what, 38?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't thickly settled at that time. It seemed like it wasn't about maybe 3 houses on this road where I live. There's a lot of houses there now. But we always had plenty, and my brother was a wood man. He sold wood for a living.
Well, like if you were going out somewhere and say church or to a dance or something like that, how would you press your dress or your slacks or whatever you wore? How would you, like we ironed today, how did you, you didn't have an iron or did you have an iron?
Well, at that time things were more up to date. We had electric irons.
You had electric iron?
Uh-huh.
All right, what about before that?
Before that, we had iron to iron with, and
You put it on the heat stove and then take it from the heat stove over to your clothes,
to the iron board.
the ironing board. So y'all would press it and then when you get it warm again, you had to put it back on the stove. So in order to iron your clothes, you had to build a fire in the stove and heat it up to get your clothes pressed.
We had four of these little irons, and you bash a little button and the handle would come off, and the other part of the iron would stay on there. That's the kind Mama had.
Did you ever have a rabbit box?
You mean to catch rabbits to eat?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Yes. My baby brother, that was a sport for him. But we did eat the rabbit.
Who's your baby brother?
Wilbur.
So would he make you a rabbit box?
No, I went with him one time to see if there was any rabbit. And he had three rabbit boxes. And I went with him. He was going to get me to put him in a sack and go and meet him, carry him.
I wonder if you can hear it on this little one. We're going to stop for a minute. We'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, here we go again. As a child, what was your favorite pastime? As in playing or playing with toys? You and your brothers, sisters, or anything like that?
Well, I had one girlfriend, little girlfriend. The mama was a dressmaker, and she would give us the scraps to make doll clothes. Well, me or the other little girl didn't know anything about sewing, so what we would do, we just take a piece of material, fold it over, cut a little hole in it. We had needles and we had thread. And I think we tried to sew it up under the arm to make doll dresses. And then we liked to jump rope, hopscotch. And then that Christmas I got a pair of skates. I fell down a heap of times, but I finally learned how to roller skate.
Who was the little girl?
Beatrice Gissendowner,
And where was that at?
Colonial Heights.
Wonder whatever happened to her.
Well, after we moved to Florida, years later, I'll say 10 years or 15 years later, I was back in South Carolina, and I looked her up, and I found her. She was at home. She'd been in a car wreck and had a broke leg. And I sat down and we had a long talk about what had happened in the years since I had seen her.
She's probably gone now.
Huh?
She's probably gone now.
Yeah. And I heard on the TV that her brother, Dean Gissendowner, was in politics. And I thought to myself, well, if he's on my ticket, I'll vote for him.
All right. Have you ever wrecked a vehicle?
No.
And wreck means like beyond repair.
No.
And let's see, there's another question we've got on here. Coming up, how did you manage health care when you were sick? What would happen if when you were at home with your mom and daddy, and either you or brothers or sisters got sick, and how was that handled?
Well, I had polio, and they called the doctor out there in
Is that Blythewood?
Blythewood, And after he examined me, I had such high fever that he thought it was meningitis. He put me in the hospital, the old Columbia Hospital on Hardin Street.
Is that the Providence now? What hospital?
No,
is
they
that now?
tore that one down.
They tore it down.
And the new one is over on Beltline. I see where the cats went when it rained. It's either a roll of wire or that's a stump.
It's both the stump and that. I saw some of them up under the vehicles. Yep, they've been up under that stump.
But I have often wondered. I've seen 3 come out of that place. Now what happened?
You said that you were in the hospital with your fever was so high with the polio. Doctor thought it was meningitis.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we were young kids, Daddy would make us take castor oil if somebody got sick.
Yeah.
What did y'all do?
That was the main thing. Be sure you get the bowels open. Well, every spring, there was a thing for Mama to do is get us all straightened out. It's too much sitting around in the winter time. And it helped. I'm still here.
That's right.
And my brothers, all except one, and he drank too much beer. He died at 47.
Who was that?
Harvey. But all the rest of them's been in their 80s.
Good genes.
Yeah.
Was polio the worst illness you ever had?